South Korean President Moon says the Trump administration's tough stance on Kim Jong Un drove North Korea to reopen diplomatic lines. But the Trump administration is not softening their stance on the Hermit Kingdom ahead of the Winter Olympics. Vice President Mike Pence is leading the U.S. delegation in South Korea. For more insight on this, I want to bring in General Jack Keane, Fox News senior strategic analyst. General, the administration was sort of playing coy this week when it came to the president's relationship with Kim Jong Un. The president, I want folks at home to take a look, the president said that he probably has a very good relationship with Kim Jong Un. He said, I think that you people, meaning the media, who he was talking to at the time, are surprised. He also went on to say, when asked whether he had spoken to Kim Jong Un, I'm not saying I have or I haven't. I just don't want to comment. What do you make of that?
Well, it's hard to characterize the president's relationship with any world leader from a distance, and I'm not aware of any contact they've made with each other, but that's clearly up to him. He certainly does talk to world leaders on a regular basis.
But why not just say no? We haven't
just looking at it from the outside, I think this is probably the most challenging, difficult relationship he's got with anybody in the world. And clearly, you know, we're on a path here where a military option is on the table. There are some negotiations that are taking place. It's certainly better talking than shooting at each other. But we've got to have a healthy dose of skepticism here, because the North Koreans have always used negotiations, Jillian, you know, to advance their technology program. They've used it in the past to obtain some goodwill, which is obviously going on here. And also, when it's with the South Koreans, to try to drive a wedge between ourselves and the South Koreans. So we got to look at it very realistically. Could something better come of it? Well, we all hope so, but we also got to be realistic about it.
So that's sort of the diplomatic bilateral relationship side of things. On the military side, do you feel like there were some mixed messages this week also? I mean, President Trump agreed to not go forward with these joint military exercises with South Korea until after the Olympics. At the same time, Department of Defense flying B-2 bombers over the region. So what
I actually think that we should be doing more on the military side to strengthen the policy change that we made dealing with North Korea, and that is that the military option is back on the table. It was General Mattis, now Secretary Mattis, that made that statement on his first visit to the Far East shortly after the inauguration back in January of last year. But here's some things I know the Chinese and the North Koreans are looking at to determine, is our policy real? Why are we still sending families to South Korea with their military spouses? This should now be what we call in the military an unaccompanied tour, like Iraq and Afghanistan is. We should also be preparing to bring the families that are there home. Making the policy changes that are going to be able to accommodate a move with such a sizable population. We should also be making plans to bring the American population at home.
Who makes that decision, General? Is it State Department? Is it DOD? Is it a combination?
In dealing with the American citizens writ large, State Department, and dealing with the military families, DOD. And the other thing, Jillian, if we're going to go to war, and there's a possibility we are, Director Pompeo of the CIA said we're just months away from the showdown. If that's the case, as we were in Iraq and Afghanistan, we're an ocean away, which means we have to prepare theater-level logistics. We have to put in place ammunition. We have to actually start moving some forces that are going to be able to accommodate the reality of that. I also believe that while some people would look at that and say, well, those are provocative acts, you're going to force the North Koreans to take some action, I would say rubbish to that. The provocative act is North Korea nuclearizing ICBMs and pointing them at the American people. That is the provocative act. These things that I'm saying are prudent measures that any military force would have to do if they have a credible policy of willingness to use a military option. And I'm not suggesting all-out war, but a military option, a very limited military option, which obviously could escalate to war.
How worried are you about, forget who's more provocative than who, right? But how worried are you about a move from the Trump administration that they don't necessarily believe is a direct threat, but ends up being a miscalculation that pushes us over the edge sort of unintentionally into war? Are you worried about that or not really?
Well, certainly you have to calculate that. And with every option that you put in front of the president, you have to lay out what the risks are associated with those options. And we have capable people, who know how to do that. And certainly, Kim Jong Un, once he makes a decision to react to what he believes is a provocation by the United States and starts a shooting war on the peninsula, that's the end of his regime. And he knows that. And all the people around him know that. We would crush that regime in a matter of days. And
I guess the worry is that the United States worries then about the South Koreans to a degree that Kim Jong Un probably doesn't, right?
He doesn't worry about the South Koreans. He's just using the South Koreans as a vehicle to put some pressure on the United States by driving a wedge between us and the South Koreans.
Well, some scary stuff. General Keane, thanks so much for your expertise today. We love having you.
Good talking to you, Jillian.
Thanks.